Let's talk about literary magazines. Today I want to talk about 4 of my favorite literary magazines or literary journals. These are publications that book clubs ought to know about because they're full of brand new fiction and nonfiction from some of the greatest writers working today and also some undiscovered writers. For those of you who aren't familiar with literary magazines or journals, these are small circulation publications that are publishing the best new fiction, poetry, essays, and so forth every month or every quarter with very small circulations, so not a lot of people are reading them, but they're a great source for new literature. Lots of people are familiar with the New Yorker magazine or the Atlantic Monthly, which are very large circulation publications that are publishing fiction, but I want to tell you about 4 of my favorite literary magazines that are much smaller circulation and that are publishing really great material. Probably my favorite literary magazine these days is a publication out of Portland, Oregon called Tin House. This comes out quarterly and they publish some of the best new fiction, nonfiction essays, poetry, and they also have a great little feature called Lost and Found in which writers talk about finding old classics that have kind of been forgotten and talking about why they're important to them and why they should be rediscovered. I also really just love the look and feel of Tin House. The covers are nice and solid. The design is beautiful inside. It feels like a book. Another favorite literary publication of mine is called One Story. It's published out of New York City and it's very simple, literally one story every time. One Story doesn't have a really special design. It's just a simple little brochure, really, with staples holding it together. But what I love about it is that it's simple. So I don't feel overwhelmed by it when it comes in the mail. There's just one story. One Story is also great because they're publishing both brand new writers who you've never heard of before, but also some favorites like Joyce Carol Oates and Ann Patchett, whose stories were both published by One Story in the past year. Another thing I love about One Story is that there's always an interview with the author posted on their website. So after I've read the story, I can go online and read an interview with the author and find out a little bit about the backstory behind the story. Lots of colleges and universities also publish literary journals, and they often do it as part of their creative writing program or under the sponsorship of their English departments. One of my favorite academic journals comes out of the University of Missouri called the Missouri Review. This is actually an older copy of the Missouri Review. I haven't had a subscription to this one in a few years, but I'm about to renew it because when I picked this up and flipped through it again, I was impressed all over again with the fiction, the poetry, the essays, the author interviews, the photography. It's just full of really great new work. Then there's all the content that's out there on the internet. One of the best online literary magazines is called Electric Lit. This is so full of content you'll never be able to read it all. Fiction, book reviews, poetry, comics, links to other literary sites on the web, pretty much anything you could think of. Every single day there's new content. And the best part of Electric Lit is it's free. There's so much great content out there that goes beyond the books at your local bookstore. So think about subscribing to one of these literary journals. Maybe you and your book club would even like to get a subscription together and have a few meetings where you read your favorite selections from one of these literary magazines. Read on!